So it's been a while since I've made a video, but I've been busy with some other things. But this time I'm going to talk about something I call karmic grooves. And if you look at the screen, you'll see a record, a good old-fashioned record. And I put the level of, or the map of consciousness, or the scale of consciousness onto this record, because it serves as an analogy for what I will call karmic grooves. So let's say you find yourself at a certain level, let's say 200 or 250 or something in the middle of the record, you know, then that's where you find yourself, and the record goes round and round. So you are in a certain groove, and you're taken on a ride at that level. So you will have your ups and downs, and sometimes you'll be down, sometimes you'll be on top, and that goes for everyday life, and it goes from year to year, month to month, and also from lifetime to lifetime if you stay at that karmic groove, because there are only so many archetypes that you can subscribe to as an individual. You will always be an individual expression, but overall there are certain types of personalities within any given main level, and you will sort of resemble, just like your body, your physical appearance resembles other people's. You will also have a personality that resembles, and some people resemble more than others, and you have just a limited selection of expressions of how you can be on a deeper level. But on the surface level you can be very different, but if you go a little deeper you can be, a good example is the artist, the suffering artist, poet archetype, which many writers and authors and actors and you know, all sorts of artists and musicians have subscribed to or been associated with up throughout time, in which they have a big talent, a genius talent many times, but at the same time they have a very destructive, self-destructive side with drugs and alcohol. And that's an example of a karmic groove. So they're caught up in that groove and they can't really get out of it, and it takes them round and round, ups and downs, ups and downs. So how do you solve the ups and downs of life? Because the lower you go, the more ups and downs you will experience. As you can see, if you're below 200 you will have the most amplitude of the ups and downs, but if you increase your level, obviously you will get closer to the center. And there, at the very center, at 1000, there is no ups and downs, because you're at the center of the eye of the storm, and everything else moves around, and you are in the middle. So the only way to escape a karmic groove, and most people, they don't move that much in a lifetime, unless they, you know, consciously are working on themselves, and then they usually stay in one groove and their whole life, and they have the same ups and downs, and you know, they just stay the same person. While somebody who is seeking the truth, who is looking deeper inside and digging out all the programming, they will climb this ladder, as you see, and they will move up, they will shift karmic grooves as they go. They will jump from one to another. So suddenly, you know, they could be very self-destructive, like many light workers have been caught up in a groove below the 200s, and that was a time when you were really in a chaos, and we had lots of ups and downs in your life, and we were really lost and didn't see any hope, because you were caught up in that groove, and your life went about playing itself out according to that level. And then suddenly you something happened, and maybe you made a big jump, so you know suddenly you're in the 300s or something. And then suddenly you're a completely different person, because you have changed the groove. And now your life and everything has changed a lot, and nobody understands how it happened. Your friends, your family maybe think you've gone crazy, or what, they don't understand how you can suddenly be so different. Or maybe they don't even acknowledge it. Maybe they don't even see, they can't even perceive that you have changed. They just look at you and treat you as the way you used to be before. That also happens. But anyway, so that's how it works. Every time you jump up a level, you change a karmic groove, and your life plays out in a different way. So when you reach the 500s or above, you're pretty close to getting into the Santa. But you still go round and round, but the ups and downs are not as bad as they used to be, usually. And if you get into below or above 670, into non-duality, then you're really getting into the enlightenment levels. And no, definitely you're close to the Santa, but you have to go all the way to 1000 to really escape any ups and downs in that sense, and be completely resting in the eternal being. So the question is, what karmic groove do you find yourself in, and are you happy there? If so, stay. I mean, what's the point? If you really are truly happy at a place, in a certain level, then why move? But most likely you're not, at least not for long. There's always, you can be happy for a while if you change to a higher level, and at some point life will start to, or things will start to bother you again, or some things will, maybe more subtle things will come up, and you will be motivated again to try to jump up and try to climb to a higher groove. And the only way to do that, or the most efficient way, is to, as Bashar always talks about, to act on your highest excitement with zero attachment to any outcome. That is the best way. And also another way is to have one principle that you follow, and that principle, if you're below unconditional love, if you're not in the higher 500s, then that one principle could be that I will always be unconditionally loving towards myself and everybody else to the best of my ability. And if you make that commitment strongly and firmly and authentically within yourself, then life will send you all sorts of tests to see if you really can be that. And if you pass those tests, you will gradually go up until you reach unconditional love. So it's actually much, instead of reading tons of books about all sorts of things spiritual and have all these weird practices, it's actually more efficient to just stick to one very firm principle like that you will always be. Doesn't mean you have to be, you shouldn't fake it. You shouldn't say like, you shouldn't, if something happens and you get mad or angry, you shouldn't try to suppress that, or like, oh now I lost it, now I screwed up, it's not like that. It's allowed to make a misstep, or sometimes you get angry for something. That's okay, but it's just the long-term commitment to it, to that one principle, that you want to be unconditionally loving to yourself, which means you forgive yourself if you get angry. You don't beat yourself up about it. You don't focus too much about it. So things happen. And if you have those two, acting on your highest excitement to the best of your ability with zero expectation of any outcome or attachment to any outcome, and a dedication to be unconditionally loving, those two combined, I think, is a very effective, maybe the most effective way to get up in the scale. And also if you're working with an enlightened teacher, if that excites you, or if that's something that is attractive to you. If it's not, then you shouldn't probably not do it. But that is also a very effective way if you can find a teacher at a high level, preferably 1000 or at least above 700, and energetically work with that person or that teacher, either private sessions or in a group session. That is also a very efficient way to get your energetic opening and your potential up, so you can face all the stuff that stands between you yourself being at the same level. That's what happens when you tune into a high level being. It brings up everything that stands in between. At least gradually it brings it up, and then you get to face it. If you do it, then you climb the ladder. So that was just my thoughts on the wheel of karma, the karmic grooves, as they call it.